This is my 1992 Ford F-150 with the 4.9. The condenser is get you a better shot here in a little while. Has gone bad on this, and I used some UV dye to detect that, and I'm going to replace it. I didn't find anything online that was helpful, so I'm making this video. Not very good at the play-by-play thing, but I will try to pick up on some of the more important spots, or what I think is important, in replacing this. And this should be applicable for the 1992 through 1996, I believe. I don't know the difference between the 4.9s and the 5.0s, but anyway, I hope this is of some help. So I'm going to begin by trying to not dump the cooling system. I'm going to take the front clip or the front grill and some of the retaining screws that I can see in here off, and try to just eke the radiator back without taking the fan off or anything. Again, I'm just trying to make this as easy as possible. Not in a big hurry or anything, but anyway, I will bring you back. Alright. You might even be able to see it in here. But see the green discoloration down there? That's the UV dye blowing out all around that. I don't know if you could hit that with the torch and solder it back together. I figured it's not worth catching the fucking truck on fire or anything. I'd get a new condenser for like 80 bucks or whatever. So I'm just going to replace the whole thing. The rest of the system, I put a new receiver dryer in, and then a new orifice tube, which goes into this part next to the receiver dryer. And there was a leak there, but anyway, different story. There's all sorts of shit on the web about that. So anyway, this is just about the condenser. Alright, I've loosened the radiator up and taken off the two bolts on the top of the condenser. And anyway, yeah, it looks like it wants to move. So what I'm going to do now is disconnect the already empty AC unit. That's the reason why I'm doing this shit. So I'm going to get a crescent wrench, a couple crescent wrenches, disconnect this, and pray to God that I can eke this out of this tiny ass hole. Alright, this was absolutely tight as shit for some reason. And I can see like metal shards in there. So the compressor in this thing's probably not long for this world, but anyway, still working. So I'm going to put new gaskets on this when it comes time. But anyway, thanks. My neighbor down there revving up the motor. Anyway, this manifold hose here was apparently they were nice enough to date this. Back there you can see this was replaced in 2010, but it was like 50 bucks. So anyway, I'm not going to replace it. I'm just going to replace this because the thing is leaking. So it was tight as shit. I just had to get bigger crescent wrenches. The small ones weren't working. Alright, off to the other side. Alright, here's my new condenser. Apparently they kicked the shit out of it. Let's see what it looks like when I get it open. Right, even though the package was all messed up, the radiator doesn't seem to be in horrible order. From the looks of it though, this is sort of upside down and backwards. I thought I might be able to take it off from here by looking at the old one, but apparently that's not the case. This seems to have much more cooling surface area. The other one just has a couple, let's say 20, 15 or whatever. Well, let me walk over and show you. This has got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 14, I don't know, let's say 30. And this has, you know what, it's stacked a little differently. The other one might not be as robust as this one. This one's, well, I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll get them side by side. Alright, mine was getting stuck because apparently it has a piece of the factory issue fucking coat hanger holding it up. Let me cut that out, see if I can get it out. Alright, so the condenser is out. There's the new one. The new one, I'll put the part number up for it. This one's like quite a bit thicker. I'm not sure if there's some efficiency, like if you can see the sheer number of those U-turns or whatever, as opposed to this side. Who knows? Anyway, this one's a little thinner. It's going to make my life a little easier getting it back in. And the key, I think, is, which you waited this long to know, is do you have to take the radiator out? At this point, I'm going to say no. No, you don't have to. You can just loosen it up and eke it out the front. So I'm going to just put it back and bring it back. Alright, so the condenser is in through the front. I was about ready to give up on this piece of shit. The key is, trying to get over here at an angle. The key is to come in at a pretty dramatic angle and almost try to come out through the front of the grill. I try to come out and hit this center support, kick it out, and then down. Trying to figure out what to do. Kick it out, and then it'll fall down. It'll fight you every inch of the way, though. Anyway, well, I feel good to have that done. Hopefully I didn't fuck it up putting it in there. It's getting dark now. I'm going to clean the fittings tomorrow. Put the O-rings on it. Put it in the vacuum. I'll probably show you that. Alright, so I got the threads cleaned up on this one side. There's the O-ring. You know, the sealing all happens right on this face, but they fucking torqued it down so tight that, I mean, I think it's alright, but I'm gonna put a little bit of this Teflon thread sealant on the outside. Thread sealant with the Teflon in it. One, so that the Teflon sort of helps me torque it back down to whatever they had it at, to whatever that crush was, without having to put as much torque on it. And then, you know, if there's some thread sealing factor in there, it'll help that Freon eke out ever so that much slower, because, you know, if I have to fill it up once every 6 months, that's cool. And if this drags it out to once a year, you know, even better. So that's what I'm going to do. I understand that I'll probably get ripped in the comments, but, you know, that's what I'm doing. Alright, so now the other thing that was leaking for sure is these Schrader valves. I think this is a 134 adapter. It used to be R12 on this years ago. So I got a fancy looking tool and then some valves from Amazon. I'll put these up in the description or whatever. We'll replace these and bring it back. Alright, we'll see how this goes. Let this run for a while. Alright, so I've got it in a vacuum. Been in there like an hour. It seems to be holding pretty steady. I'm going to leave it on there till it gets dark and see what it looks like. Well, I don't know, maybe till tomorrow. Right now, I don't have the little connectors that are supposed to hold this transmission cooler onto the condenser. I ordered a couple of those from Amazon today, so I just wire tied it up here for now. And I'm not sure I'd really buy into the logic of adding an additional transmission cooler to block air from the other transmission cooler, which is built in the radiator. So when I try to mount it, I'm going to try to mount it out of the way so that it's not obscuring the fan like it was before. So I'm going to go ahead and post this video. If you don't see a secondary post within the next week or two, then we'll just assume that everything worked alright, nothing shit the bed. Anyway, the moral of this is the radiator for the 92 to 96 F150 with the straight 6 in it will not come out the front without taking off the front clip. You can scoot the radiator back and bring it in at an angle, flop it down, and you're good to go. Thanks for watching.